What is going on? We're talking Google Maps today. I'm excited to talk about this one because this is one of the most common questions that I get from lawyers and law firms all over the planet. When I'm talking to them about SEO, when I'm talking to them about my SEO agency, they're often asking me, is Google Maps included? Are you going to help me with Google Maps? And yeah, the answer is yes. Obviously, that is definitely a very important area for us. When you look at how a Google search page is sort of structured, the first things that you see are Google AdWords. That's all the paid stuff. Well, I mean, if you're in America, you'll see Google Screen first, but if you're in Australia or anywhere else in the world, don't worry about that. You see AdWords first. Then you see Maps. The Maps is the next section on the Google search results page, and then you have all the organic search traffic. So that's when you're searching, you know, it's something very specific like family law Melbourne, for example. You're going to get the map section on that search result page because you're very specific about what you want and where you want it. So one of the things we're looking at with our law firm clients, all the law firms that we work with, is how can we get them as far up that maps ranking listing as possible. And for us, there are 5 key strategies that help a law firm do that. And I'm going to tell you about those strategies in this video. So if you're watching it live and you have any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments. Get involved in the comments. Ask me any questions that you have. Michael, welcome. And if you're watching this replay, hashtag team replay. Get involved down there and ask any questions that you have. So I'm going to take you through the 5 strategies that we primarily look at for ranking law firms on Google Maps. And the first strategy is updating the Google My Business listing name. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to look at your Google My Business listing, and I want you to have a look at the name that you have on there. Now, what you ideally want to have is company name, your area of practice, and a location within your Google My Business name. Now, it needs to be as natural as possible. You can't just have ABC firm, family law and business law, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. It's not going to work. If you try to cram as many keywords in there as possible, or if it sounds a little bit weird, it's not going to get approved by Google. You need to do what you can to try to make it sound as natural as possible. So for example, one of our clients, their name is Mays Law Offices. They're based in Kentucky and they offer injury law services, right? So it'd be Mays Injury Law, Kentucky. That is a really clear and easy way of offering all the information in that Google My Business name. Now, specifically with this client, they have offices in a few different areas in Kentucky, so you could have a Google My Business listing for each office, and then for each office you could have a city name in place of Kentucky. So Mays Injury Law Lexington, for example, which is a city in Kentucky, so which I know now because we work with this client. So the first area to look at is your Google My Business name, because that's where Google takes all the information and posts it into the Maps ranking results. So your Google My Business name is the first strategy. Second strategy is be very specific in the categories in your Google My Business. You're probably starting to see a trend here. It's all about My Business, but there are specific categories that you can include in Google My Business. For lawyers, it's like family law, injury law, business law. You can include those categories in your Google My Business listing, and that's going to help Google understand what it is that you do. So update those categories, go in there and update them to be as relevant as possible to your law firm. Third is location settings. Now you need to make a decision here. There are 2 different ways that you can go about things. You can be a little bit more broad and you can target a location area, which means that your address will not show up in your Google My Business listing, or you have your address show up in your Google My Business listing and you target more specifically that suburb or city. So if you are based in Melbourne, our suggestion would be to keep it really specific. Have your Melbourne address as your address for your Google My Business listing. But if you wanted to target more of the state, and Melbourne is within the state of Victoria in Australia, if you wanted to target more of Victoria, what you'd do is you'd set your service area to all of Victoria, so then Google then will keep you in mind for any Victoria related searches. Now, the downfall in doing that is obviously you're being much more broad, so the chances of you ranking higher is probably lower unless you have an amazing domain authority and a whole bunch of reviews and all that kind of stuff, which we'll talk about in a sec. But our suggestion is probably to keep the address really specific, so that when people are searching near that very specific location, you are more likely to show up in the maps results, as long as you do all the other things as well. All right, so that's the third thing, is have a think about location settings. Fourth thing is get more Google reviews. Google essentially just wants to show their users businesses that are going to offer them a good service. That's all they want. They just want their users to have a good time. They want their users to get what they want. So get more Google reviews. I've done a whole video on this in the past. If you want a video on why Google reviews are useful and how to get them, just comment reviews below and I will send that through to you. I'll send you a link. But get more Google reviews. And the fifth strategy is to include lots of information in your Google My Business. So like I said, it's all about Google My Business. This is where all the Google Maps stuff happens. Include as much information about the business in there, descriptions, images, videos, all that kind of stuff, all the different services that you offer. Include all the information in there, be really specific, and that's going to go towards a very high maps ranking. All right, so the 5 different strategies that you can use. First of all, your Google My Business listing name. Second of all, make sure you have specific categories in your Google My Business. Update your location settings. Decide if you want to be broad or if you want to be specific. Get more Google reviews and include lots of information in your Google My Business. Of course, having a good domain authority is going to work really well for you as well. Having lots of traffic from organic reach, from organic traffic, from organic searches is also going to help your maps ranking as well. But if you do those 5 things, you're going to be on your way to ranking higher in the maps results, so that you can start generating some more traffic to your website, some more phone calls, and some more fee-paying clients. And that's what I'm all about. Ask yourself, could I do with an extra 5 to 10 clients a month? That's what we're going to get if we get you higher in the search results, and that's what this content is all about. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. You're a freaking legend, and we'll talk soon.